Good evening, people. Good evening. Yes, it's the Armoury TV. We are back with another match reaction, and Arsenal are back to winning ways. We love to see it. Let's go. Yes, people. Yes, people. It's the Armoury TV. We're back with another reaction. It's myself, Gumza. I've got my regular reaction panelist, Brenny. How you keeping, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. Late Christmas present, 3 points today. All good, man.
Love that. Love that. And we got the return. People are saying it's the biggest return since Thierry Henry. They say it's definitely bigger than Flamini. James, lovely to have you back. How you keeping, brother?
What's going on, man? I mean, two greats returning, Papa Wenger and now me, right? Now I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I've been just keeping to myself. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
I'm excited to be back.
The hair looks a couple of inches longer.
Yeah, bro. I need a trim, but
You
growing it out. We're growing it out. I need to stay
just don't
warm
want.
somehow. So here
I
we
can
go.
see you just don't want to go outside, do you? I
Yeah.
understand it. I
Well,
fully
why pay
understand.
bills when I can grow my hair, right? So yeah.
Mhm.
Ah, bro. But yeah, we're here. We're back. Seems like a while. We've obviously had a few friendly games, but nothing is like the return of the Premier League. Um, some good games today. Amazon Prime, all the games are on Prime, so you can watch all the games, and all the away teams are winning. I think there was one draw, and the rest were away wins. And out comes Arsenal, and we find ourselves 1-0 down. So at that point, when it's highlighting that no home teams won, we're losing 1-0. How worried was you, Brenny? We're going to get into the actual details later, but I just want this question first. How worried was you going into the second half?
I wasn't, and I'll tell you why. It's like that. It was like that feeling from years ago with teams under Arsene Wenger. Um, I felt we would get back into the game. I still thought we were going to win, but I just, I just thought maybe it'd be a 2-1. So I had no worries because I thought we were playing well in the first half, and that penalty was against a run of play anyway. So
Yeah,
I was happy. I was happy with how the boys were playing.
definitely.
We didn't, what I mean. We never had an awful first half by any means. So I felt we were good enough to get the goals that we needed to get the 3 points.
Yeah, I agree. James, how about yourself? Was you nervous or was you pretty calm like
Um.
Brenny?
Nah. I was pretty calm. I was not annoyed to be behind. I was just annoyed at our performance. It didn't warrant us being behind. West Ham didn't really create anything in that half. I was just more annoyed at ourselves, I guess. And I know we've had like a 6 week break because of the World Cup and everything, and I expected it. I expected us to still have a bit of rust, still have a bit, look like we haven't played in a little bit. But from the standards of where we finished before the World Cup break to how we started this game, I felt like it was a big drop off for us. Maybe it wasn't in some people's eyes, but for me, we just looked like, I don't know, we were taking one or two touches more than we normally would. And that's where I felt like we were. But I had full faith. Our first half performance justified us at least going in level, if not ahead. We didn't deserve to be behind, as I said. So full confidence that we were going to come back, and we've seen that we can do it. We did it against Fulham. We've done it several times this season where we have actually started to come back into games. So yeah, I was confident.
Yeah, no, I agree. For me, yeah, I think echo both of you. I think it was a bit of frustration to be losing. Um, But so I've been watching all games this season downstairs because my internet, as you all know, is quite bad upstairs. So when it's on the sky, it's a nightmare. But
Mm.
my TV upstairs works Prime really well. So I was watching upstairs. Half time, I thought, hold on, I ain't watched the game up here all season. I'm going back down, and I went downstairs, took over the TV, and just like that, Arsenal come back and won. So I'm not saying it was because of me, but it was definitely because of me. You all know I'm superstitious as well, so I was like, hold on a minute, no, something don't feel right. Let me get downstairs. But on a whole, we controlled the whole game. Do you know what I mean? And I think we have been starting fast and catching teams cold sometimes, but occasionally we're not going to score in the first 20 minutes. And I think watching Declan Rice in there and seeing how frustrated he started to become, it shows me what this Arsenal team's about, where we're going to keep breaking you down. And yes, it's difficult. If teams block up with 5 and 4, it is hard to break down sometimes. But you could see this is even before the goal. West Ham was starting to tire. They started to make a few mistakes. They couldn't get out. We really put our foot down on them. And yeah, it just took a little bit of luck. Do you know what I mean? But we're going to get into the goals. Let's start with the one we conceded. Um, Penalty or not, James? What's your thoughts on it?
I think it's a penalty if the ref gives it. I don't think it's a penalty if he doesn't give it. In the sense of I don't think it's overturned by VAR if
No.
Michael Lover doesn't blow his whistle. It is a pen based off of the fact of he touched him inside the box, but I don't think the connection there is enough to justify Bowen's movement and how he goes down. I just don't think it warrants that reaction where he somehow ends up on his back, looks like he steps on a banana peel, and then ends up on his ass. Like I don't think William Saliba's touch did that to him.
Yeah.
But I can't really complain because he did touch him inside the box and the ref gave it. So on that merit, yes, a pen, but very, very, very harsh.
Yeah. Before I come to you, Brady, it's quite funny because I remember me and Silver Fox, big up yourself, by the way, every time. Me and him was having a big argument in the World Cup final with the Di Maria incident. And the connection, would say, is quite similar in it's not much connection. But the big difference was when Di Maria got clipped, his foot hit the back of his other foot, which made him trip. Whereas Bowen didn't really have that second connection. Do you know what I mean? There was contact between him and Saliba. Was it enough for him to go rolling down? Again, he's tried to pull a shot off. And I wouldn't even mind if it was his standing foot Saliba hit and then he couldn't plant it properly and then slipped. But he's had great connection with his standing foot. You know what I mean? He's put that down solid and then just messed up the shot. And that is on his weaker foot, which he may have messed up that shot anyway. Do you know what I mean? We've seen Eric Dyer hit one earlier, like backwards on his weaker foot. So I can't say it was because of the contact why he didn't get good connection on his shot. However, I can understand why it was given. And I am in agreement with you, James, where, yeah, if the referee doesn't give a penalty, I don't think VAR overturn him at all. Brennan, you rate yourself. Pen or no pen for you?
When I saw that at first, I looked at it and I thought that's not a pen. But when I had a look at it again during the half time, yeah, Saliba's clipped Bowen. He's clipped him, but you know what? It's one of those things where, yeah, it was given and okay, fair play, but it's I think when you sometimes you've seen decisions like that where they're not given, and I actually thought it wasn't gonna get, I thought maybe VR probably overturned that, but we didn't see VR for that. So, but having a look at it again from one of the other angles, yeah, it's it's a pen, but I agree it's harsh, but it's one of them ones where, like I said, they're either given or they're not. But yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree with you. As I said, it's soft, but there's contact, and once there's contact, you know what I mean. But I think the most important thing is looking at how that situation come about. I'm not too sure if you guys watch much of the highlights or whatever else it was, but Gabriel's the first one that comes out to win a header, which probably doesn't need to win. I doesn't need to try and win. Sometimes it's not about winning the first ball. If you're in a good shape, you pick up the second ball, and then you play again. He's come out and try to understand. And Partey was right there. There's a bit of miscommunication. He's gone for it. Partey's kind of stayed in the space he was in, which then drags Saliba right across. And I think that's probably the first issue. And then I think Saliba can engage with the ball. But what showed me today is both of them didn't really want to get into it with Antonio today. I haven't seen that from both centre backs, from any player we've played this season. I think it's the first time where there was a bit of hesitancy playing Antonio. So again, Saliba hasn't played in a long time. Do you know what I mean? Even so, I don't want to be overcritical on him. But for me, it's definitely something we could look at too. You got to find the problems and rectify them. And I think in this half we did, because West Ham tried that ball a lot of times from the goalkeeper straight into Souček. And what you saw in the end is Partey was always playing like a left centre midfielder. He was all the way across on the left hand side. And since when he was challenging, even if he won it or not, our back four kept their shape, and it just nullified that whole threat they had on that side. So yeah, again, it shows we learnt from it in game. It doesn't take us to get back to the training ground that works. And in game, they rectified it. They took whoever took leadership on, made the call to say, "All right, Partey, you engage there," whatever it was. You saw the adjustment and it worked. Do you know what I mean? So fair play to the boys. We show that resilience which we've been showing all season, and it's lovely to see. Just also in the first half, before we move into the second, where all the action happened, the goal which was disallowed, I only saw a brief replay, and it did touch Saka. But from what some people were saying is it didn't like Nketiah was offside even after it touched Saka. Did you guys see anything different, or because VAR didn't draw the lines or do anything like that? So I'm not too sure. I don't want to say this is me being in the middle. I'm sitting on the fence. I have no idea. I didn't see it again. All I was looking on was if there's a touch, he's probably offside. But did you guys see it properly, or?
I mean, I didn't get they didn't really show like a second or third or fourth replay they normally do. As you said, it was just a quick thing. And for me, I don't know what it was, but I swear to God, they were both onside. I thought they were way onside.
They were.
I thought there was a West Ham centre back on the penalty spot, pretty much 8 yards, that played them both on. That was me, and I probably am wrong because I didn't get a long time to see it, but I thought even if Saka did touch it, it wouldn't have mattered because they were both on. When Saka touched it, Eddie was on. And I didn't think Saka was offside. So
Saka definitely wasn't offside, but I think the offside come from when it's touched
Saka touching it and then Eddie going on
offside position.
I don't know. I don't know. I need to see like a still image, or I need to see a replay of it again. But like you, it was kind of like a split-second replay that was like, okay, look, this is the reason why it's offside. And it wasn't long enough, and I'm like, were you showing it again or not?
Brenny, did you see it, or are you in the same boat as me and James? Again, just to clear up, we just want to see where Nketiah was stood when it touched Saka, because it didn't show that. It just showed that Saka touched it.
Yeah, I saw one replay, yeah, guys, and from what I saw, Saka and Eddie were not. Well, they were both onside. That's what I saw, and I thought, well, they're both onside, but surely, if they look at that, they're going to give it. But I did. Me personally, I mean, I'll look at it again later on Sky Sports or even Match of the Day. But both of them were onside when the ball was played. That's what I saw.
Yeah, as I said, I think the interesting bit would be where Nketiah's positioning is after it touched Saka's back foot. It touched Saka's heel, and again, that either triggers Nketiah to be offside if he was in offside position, but time will tell. But the beauty of the second half is we don't need to dwell on it. We can move on. Whether it's a good decision or bad decision doesn't matter. We took the matters into our own hands, quite fortuitously, I must say. But we started the second half pretty bright. I know Antonio got in once and had a shot, but after that, it was total domination. And sometimes you shoot, you miss the target, and there's our boy on the right-hand side with a great first touch, and he finishes. I think he couldn't even believe he was onside, but a bit of luck, but it was fully deserved. What you take from that goal, James?
Fortune for Odegaard, because the first half he was fantastic. Second half he was fantastic. He was my man of the match. I know we're going to probably go into that, so I won't go into that too much and ratings and that kind of stuff. But for me, I don't know what it is about West Ham. He turns into Prime Ozil when he plays West Ham. I don't know what it is. He did it when he was on loan here, when he dragged us back 3-3, now this. And I know there's been another performance before where he's just been unbelievable. So, yeah, I think he deserved his luck in his awful shot / incredible pass. Well, I'll lean towards incredible pass because of his performance today. But yeah, great touch by Saka. Opened himself up, allowed him to place it, and from that position, we just know Saka's clinical. He isn't going to miss. So, yeah, lucky, but we deserved it. Again, we just deserved to be level in the game.
Yeah, yourself, Brenny?
Yeah, I agree with James. I mean, with that equaliser, we deserve to get back into the game, and yeah, there was a bit of luck with that. But you know what? I think in all my years supporting Arsenal, when you're on a good run, you will have games. You get chances where you're very you get the luck, and I say that you do deserve that luck because it's what we've shown all season, how we've performed, and you do get that rub of the green. I can give many examples of when we've had runs like that, and not going to go on too much, but I don't know if you guys remember 20 years ago, we Arsene Wenger had to put out a poor, well, not a poor, but had to put out a side at Goodison Park, and I looked at that side and I thought, wow, this is depleted because we had a lot of injuries that day.
Mm.
Still Van Walter led the line. We won 1-0 with the scrappiest of goals. If you ever go on YouTube, check that out. It was one of the scrappiest of goals. We held on for a 1-0 win, and we won the double that season. So you do, when you're on a good run, you do get that sort of luck.
Yeah.
I find that over the years, the last few years, when we've not been on good runs, we've not had the luck. We've not had the rub of the green. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was well deserved. And I looked at it and I thought, oh gosh, no, he's not offside, is he? And then oh, no, thank God for that. So
Yeah.
I actually thought, oh gosh, this is going to go VAR. No, and I love that. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, we deserved the goal. We deserved it.
Mm. And after that moment, there was no looking back. There was only one winner after we got the equaliser, wasn't it? And not too long after, a goal from someone whose name was popping up quite frequent in the group chat. I don't know who. I think it might be me who put the last message in, and within about 25 seconds, he shut me right up.
Yeah, you did, and I agreed.
Yeah, he wasn't having his best of game, but again, when like you said in that game against Everton, you don't look back at the performance. Sometimes you look back and say, right, he popped up when it was needed, and he scored a vital goal. And I think Fabianski's gonna be kicking himself. Do you know what I mean? But again, I don't think. Yeah, he's back. Agent Wenger there, another master stroke. But it's a bit like Leno earlier in the season against Fulham, wasn't it? Him and Fabianski have helped us out this year. So, but yeah, he beaten at his near post very easily. But again, it's kind of what Martinelli's been showing, isn't it? It's that persistence. Even if you're playing badly, he's still gonna keep going. He's gonna keep motoring. He's gonna keep working hard. And again, even for a young boy, your head could be down. We saw it in Nketiah in the first half, where he could have had a shot. Maybe the confidence wasn't flowing, and he tried to pass it. Do you know what I mean? And what you get with Martinelli is I don't think much phases him. Even if he's having a bit of a bad game, he's still gonna try and make something happen, and he did. So yeah, second goal, Martinelli grabs it. What was your thoughts there, James? Is it just utter relief it's gone in, or?
Yeah, I was surprised it went in, to be honest. It's like when you're learning football at a young age, if you're a goalie or you're a fullback, show them down the line and don't get beat in your near post. It's just basic rules of football, right? So at that level, you just don't expect it to go in. Tidy finish from him. He deserved it. He did a lot of work on the 1v1 duel with the right back. Beat his man, slotted it home well. I was just taken aback as to how Fabianski got beaten at the near post by that powerful of a shot, because it wasn't like he blasted it. It was to him, it hit his foot and bobbled over him. So we'll take it. I'm not going to be like, oh no, we scored, what a shame. It's
I was celebrating like it was the world.
Yeah, I was yelling. I'm glad I wasn't on stream when I was doing it, because I had the most horrendous voice crack of my life when I was shouting. Honestly, my sister and my dad were laughing at me in hysterics, but thankfully there's not a clip. We've got immortality on the channel. Hopefully that doesn't happen in the future. But I mean, we'll take it. He does what Martinelli does. He scores goals.
100%. And we'll move on to the next. Brenny, I'll let you answer this one first. Again, we're flowing. For me, we don't kill games off enough. But we were flowing at that moment, and nice bit of football. Odegaard involved again. Nice little inside pass into Nketiah, who absolutely rolls the man, just rolls him for dead, and then for me a fantastic finish. So yeah, Brenny, what's your thoughts on first of all? Let's talk about the goal, and then we'll talk about Eddie, because there's lots being said about him going into this match. So goal first.
Oh, that goal! It was I just love the way Eddie turns defenses. He did it a few times today, and that was a great finish. That was what we call a striker's finish, you know. And I mean, took that so well, and I just thought, you know what, I jumped up and I clapped it. I thought, yeah, man, well deserved, because
Mm,
he looked good in the first half. I felt he worked hard, and he got his rewards for that with our third goal.
mm, mm. I
Hmm.
agree. What about yourself, James? Like for me, the finish was a lot harder than it looked, if that makes sense.
Mm,
Yes, he's one on one. However, he's right-footed on the right-hand side, so he's got to go across the keeper. It's not the
mm.
easiest of finishes because you can
Hmm.
drag him wide. And I saw
Yeah,
Darwin Núñez drag
yeah,
so many
yeah.
today.
Against Villa, yeah.
Um, so yeah, how for you? Where do you rate that kind of finish?
Oh, it was tidy. It was tidy. There was a few instances where he did it slightly deeper in the pitch, where he span his man. The centre back Kera today was. I'm guessing David Moyes was telling him to play a man to man, because throughout the game, for like 80 minutes of the game, I'm pretty sure Eddie and Nketiah had Kera on his back, bear hugging him, giving him a hug, like giving him a cuddle. He wasn't letting him go throughout the match. So yeah, I mean the spin quality, something similar to Jesus has done. Um, and it's good to see, because they're similar in profiles. I feel like there's small nuances that are slightly different. I feel Eddie is a bit more clinical than Jesus, and Jesus is a bit better at pressing and offering link up play. So I mean, they're similar. We just need to change a little bit of our style. But yeah, Eddie impressed me today. Eddie was good. I felt like there's small things that I want to see him change. Like again, the spin move was fantastic for the opportunity that he made for himself, because it finished off a great passing move. But there was times where he tried to do that in this game where it wasn't the right thing to do. He tried to spin his man instead of holding up the play. And I think with game time, he's going to become and develop as a player. That me and Gumser have been fighting a losing battle for a while. I know Gumser is Eddie's biggest supporter of the Armoury TV. Easily, I've been shouting his corner saying he's not that bad. He's actually clinical when he plays in the first team, and he's actually improved. It's been 2 years now, but it was 6 months ago when he played in the summer, the last run of the summer before last season ended, where you can clearly see he has done a lot of work with Arteta off the field to improve his overall game. Because when he was at Leeds, he was 6 yard merchant. He was a toe poker. That was how he was getting his goals. And you saw it develop pre-season. Last season, you saw he was improvement, and this season again, he's just coming on leaps and bounds. So yeah, I'm glad that he scored, especially in the first game where everyone's like, "How are Arsenal going to do? Because Jesus is out. They've lost their main man. How are they going to get? How are they going to play?" And when we did score that second goal, it looked like we played exactly the same with Jesus on the field as it did
Yeah.
with Eddie. It didn't look any disparity whatsoever. So it's given me a lot of confidence going forward that he is the man for however long Jesus is out for. I still feel like we need cover. I believe in Eddie a lot more now that we've seen that from him. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What about yourself, Brenny? How would you rate Eddie's overall performance? Um, yeah, just how would you think he got on? In terms of the full 90.
I think I thought he was brilliant today. He really was. You see the thing with Eddie that I like. I mean, yeah, I had my doubts about him from time, but then I remember during the summer, I think I even said on here, you know, he could learn a lot from Jesus. He could learn a lot from a serial Premier League winner, you know, and that would lift him to being the understudy to someone who's won titles, who's won cups, who isn't isn't a prolific. Jesus, we know he's not a prolific goal scorer, but he's a scorer of great goals, and he can score big goals. He can score in big games, and he's proven that for City. And I just thought Eddie could probably learn a lot from him, and I felt that he has. I think he has, and he's also learnt more as well. I just think he's getting stronger every time I see him. His first touches, his second touches, getting even better every time. He's got an eye for goal, and his link up play will only get better. And I'm impressed with him. I
Yeah.
really am. I would still like us to get another forward in. Not saying get another forward in to push Eddie out. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But it's just a case of now. It's a case of we haven't got Jesus, but if we lose Eddie now to injury, it'd be like, oh, man.
Yeah.
And that's how I'd feel. I'd be gutted because
Mm.
then who else can come in?
Yeah, and I think the difference with I know people say Martinelli can play up front, and he probably can. But I think it changes the whole style Arsenal then have to play to put
It
Martinelli up front. I think
Yeah.
yes, Martinelli can hold the ball. He's a footballer. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like 95% of footballers can do elements of the game. Um, However, he wants to be going direct and going at you. Whereas what I watch from Jesus and Nketiah is they're happy to lend their self to building up the play. I
Yeah.
think it might have been the first goal. In fact, Eddie Nketiah was heavily involved in it.
Mm.
First half, I think a few times the ball come and he bounced it off. Like him and Jesus both do it. They come and drop into the pocket so Xhaka can go higher and they
Yeah.
bounce it. And hopefully it moves a player out of the way for the centre backs to then make the pass
Mm.
through to the midfield or whether it's. And he's done it a few times. And there's once where he could have turned because the player didn't go with him and he bounced it. And I was like, I hope he needs to turn when he's got the opportunity to. And I think it was the first goal. I'm pretty sure it was. It was either the first second. He picked up the ball and he went from right to left. No, I left to right. Sorry, and that just
Mm.
opened the game up. And then it was a couple of passes, and then we were in. And it's just that confidence. Do you know what I mean? To
Mm.
believe in himself. And you saw the difference between I think the first and second half. His belief started to grow, and he took responsibility for me. And yeah, I've never doubted his actual ability to play football. There's been so much said he can't do what Jesus does, and I don't think there's many who can do what Jesus does in terms of when he's on the ball. Jesus can beat players in a phone box. Like his skillful level, Jesus is way above. But
Mm.
Nketiah can play the same style as Jesus.
Mm.
And I'm not going to say he's a better finisher than Jesus, but what he has shown in his short career is he is a finisher when he's inside the box. You know what I mean? And for me, it's I believed in Eddie all along. Anyway, for the longest of time, I was saying there's a player in there,
Mm.
and there is a big difference playing in that Thursday night squad compared to playing in the Saturday or Sunday squad. There's a big difference in the quality,
Mm.
and I'm just glad for him that this should hopefully
Mm.
settle it down a bit now going into the next few games, because I think a lot of the pressure on him going into this match is massive. Like I don't think anywhere else on the park you're seeing a 23-year-old being put under that much pressure when they're coming on for a game. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? And it's not really fair, because he hasn't done anything to deserve that pressure. I think anyone coming from maybe the Wenger era, they carry a lot of pressure and like a negative stigma about them
Yeah.
because of
Mm.
they were there when it wasn't so good.
Yeah.
You see it with Holding all the time, and yes, he's
Yeah.
not at the level of Saliba and Ben White and Gabriel, but he's
Mm.
not as bad as people have made out.
Mm.
And you're seeing the difference in these players when they're playing. So I think, yeah, you've got to give Eddie a chance. However, I do agree. I still do want another striker.
Mm.
Just someone who can, if that game's sticky and we haven't scored, who can do something a bit different. So a bit
Our
more of a
bench was
physical
so.
striker.
I don't know if you saw our bench. Our bench was so weak. It was nice to see Dubry get on the bench.
Yeah.
Kezia Dubry, a
Yeah.
fantastic little academy player,
Mhm.
looks really, really
Mm.
good. But our bench,
Mm.
that's
Yeah.
not title contending depth. Not even
No.
close. I know we have
Yeah.
injuries, and I know we have players coming back. Tomiyasu, Smith Rowe, yada yada yada.
Mm.
I think
But even with them in, you said I still feel like we're one or two short, just in the
Yeah.
squad as a whole.
defensively, our bench looks fine for me.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
it's just
as I
options
say, I
up
think
front.
it was Holding, Suarez, Zinchenko, and obviously Tomiyasu's out. So that four,
Mm.
fine. But attacking changes, we had Vieira, Marquinhos, and Kozia Dubry.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, that's where I think we were really short.
sure.
And was it Arteta's comments? He said, someone said about going into the market. Do we have the money to
Yeah,
go into the market? Or
he pretty much said that we have the facilities to go into the market, but we need to make sure that we get the right player, and we can't make the mistake of getting the wrong player, which coincides. I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit later as to the
Well,
shenanigans
let's
that's
get
been happening over Instagram.
Mm.
But I wanted to, sorry, before we get into that, your
yeah.
comment on Eddie and the pressure he got. I really liked his response. He did I saw a snippet of the interview they did. They interviewed him after the game, and they asked
Mm.
him about the pressure that he had on him, and he said, "Look, I play for Arsenal Football Club. That's the standard. There's always pressure," and I love that response because I
Yeah.
feel like it encapsulated the whole shift in mentality now. Like it's not just within the club; you're seeing it with players that are still in the game, not players that have 20 years ago they used to play. And speaking about how big Arsenal used to be, like you're hearing it now that Arsenal look like and behaving like a serious club again, and it's just nice to just be like, look, these players want to win, and I was really impressed with what Eddie said after that interview. It really was like, look, he's got a solid head on him, and he wants to be here, and he's going to prove it. So yeah,
it kind of coincides with what we saw in the Prime documentary when Sambi Lokonga wasn't happy about his playing time. And Issa said, "Shut up, bro. Get on with it." And again, he could feel hard done by because he came off the back of a good run at the end of last season. Yes, we missed out on our target, but actually, if it wasn't for him in that run, we wouldn't even be nowhere near it.
we wouldn't have been close.
He scored some really important goals along the way and kind of transformed our whole style. Do you know what I mean? We was Lacazette before that, and he came in and just was a breath of fresh air. And it was all of a sudden like we're a new team we're playing. So he could feel hard done by that. Actually, since then, this is his first start, and we can all see why Jesus has been really good, but what all he can do now is in these 2-3 months is put pressure on Jesus to say, look, if you go 3 games without scoring again, Arteta, you've got to put me in because I'm scoring 1 and 2. Do you know what I mean? If he kind of comes out with that record after say 8 games, he scores 4 or 5 goals, Jesus might not be able to go on a 6-game scoreless run again. Do you know what I mean? Because we're seeing he can do the link up stuff. He presses, he does everything you want from him, but actually he finishes as well. So all he can do is really give the manager a headache. And we've seen it times and times before where players steal a position and don't give it back. I remember Alex Manninger, Brenny, you remember him where he came in for Seaman one year. Seaman was injured and he played out of his skin. And
he had clean sheets galore. He did.
Yeah, and it's like it's David Seaman coming back, but how do you drop this kid? And same with Leno and Emi Martinez. Do you know what I mean? It was a similar thing, and there's players all over the place who have stolen a shirt and haven't given it back, and that's all Eddie can really do, isn't it? Is kind of show us that he can deputise. But let's move on to one more position before we go on to some of the what's going on Instagram. Let's talk about our left back because that's been spoken about a lot this season. Zinchenko's come in. Some people saying defensively he's not good enough, but you can see what he brings offensively. When he's been out, we've seen Cedric play there. We've seen Tomiyasu start there before Tierney. This is a start for Tierney. James, how would you think he fared?
I don't want to put my my left back down too badly,
People will come to you.
Like I don't know. A year ago, I would say he's a guaranteed starter, and nobody's better than him in our team. And he would be in 10 out, like every day of the week. He'd be in my starting 11. Now the way that we defend and the way that Arteta seemed to have transformed the style that we defend is in the Pep motto that we defend by having the ball. We don't like conceding chances. We don't like players going one-on-one, so we dominate possession, so we limit the opposition as to what they can do because they don't have the ball. When Kieran Tierney and Gabriel are in that left-hand side, Gabriel is okay on the ball, so is Kieran Tierney, but you compare it to Ben White and Saliba, the difference is there's a lot in terms of how comfortable they are on the ball. I don't think it's that big of an issue if you have a left back that is comfortable on the ball because it allows Gabriel to be a bit more rash, a bit more aggressive because he's got an out. He can pass it to more options than he can if Tierney's there. And we did it on the preview to this where I said Kieran Tierney looked a lot better on the ball in the centre of the park. But I don't know if it was Arteta's instructions or I don't know if it was, I'm guessing it's Arteta's instructions because, he controls everything, that he was pushing him out wide. And I really felt like that had a negative impact on us attacking. I don't know if Brenny agrees or you agree, but Martinelli was in the centre and he just looked out of sorts in the sense because he wasn't playing at a striker position. He wasn't playing left wing on the byline. He was sort of in the midst with Xhaka in that half space, that left centre mid 8 high up. And I just felt like it looked disjointed. I don't know if you agree or not, but that's what I was seeing throughout his period of the game. He looked better once we scored the equaliser. I'll give him that. He did improve. He picked it up a little bit. He was getting into his man. I just felt like what you associate with Kieran Tierney is he's bombing down the left wing and he delivers fantastic crosses, but he also likes getting into challenges. He didn't want to tackle Jared Bowen for the first half. He just didn't. So I don't know. I'll give it to Brenny to add more, but I felt like he really struggled today.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Bernie, you got any pushback on that or?
I agree. I agree. I thought Kieran Tierney struggled in that first half. Not going forward, but it
Yeah,
was just, yeah, not going forward. I thought he was immense. But in terms of Joe Bowen, I thought was having fun, and I'm like, get in his face, get stuck into him. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think there was a couple of times. I think when I saw Bowen getting the better of him, I'm like, oh, come on. You know what I mean? But then second half, I thought I do agree with James 100%. As soon as we got the equaliser, it's like it was more confidence flowing through Tierney, and then I thought he actually worked harder in the second half than he did the first. But I like what he. I do. I like what he brings to the team. I mean, he's a different kind of left back to Zinchenko, as we know. But can he play that inverted role like Zinchenko can? I think he could, but you want him to be in a you want it to be in a situation where he can do that now, if that's what Mikel Arteta wants him to do. So it's and that's the thing. But how I look at it, I think we've got two quality left backs, but right now, when fully fit and the system that Mikel Arteta is playing, you'd have to go with Zinchenko.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with both of you. I don't think Tierney played badly. James made it sound like he played badly. I don't.
Mm,
Eventually, it wasn't his best game. Bowen was causing him problems.
mm,
Um, but yeah, I don't think he played badly, Tierney, at all. But again, when you're comparing him now against Zinchenko, who's been really good for us, and stylistically, you saw when Zinchenko come into that middle, it
mm,
was just pop city after that, weren't it? It was boop, boop, there's little
yeah.
touches. There's one like movement we had about I think 30, 40 touches of the ball before West Ham got the
Mm,
touch again. And
Yeah.
yeah, we just dominated possession, and you can see how comfortable he is in that position. So it makes a big difference. Um, the only thing I would say is Tierney may be handy if Smith Rowe plays out on the left, and I think that is the
mm,
trump card we have. It's if Martinelli starts, Zinchenko plays, and it changes up Shaka's role, and if Tierney
mm,
starts, Smith Rowe may play, because again, the impact I think Tierney had was on Martinelli more, where he
mm,
struggled in that game more than
Yeah.
Tierney, and it
Yeah.
might be because
mm,
of where he was being asked to pick the ball up from his starting position. So you
mm,
may see when Smith Rowe plays in that role, all of a sudden Tierney's the out ball, and he's going to love it down that left hand side. So yeah, I think it's a nice problem to have. I think that's the key. It's a problem which isn't. It's not really a problem on us. It's a problem for other teams to deal with. Um, we've kind of got good options down there, like you said. It's it's a very nice problem to have. I don't think anyone in the league's got two better left backs than we've got. Um,
no,
and I don't know about Europe, but I would put my money down to say there's probably not many teams who've got two better left backs than what we've got in Europe at
mm,
this moment in time.
I agree.
So I think the key is just keeping Tierney happy.
Yeah,
So where he doesn't want to leave at the end of the season, but
mm,
we'll cross that bridge. Let's get into one more player before we go, and then we do player ratings. But I want to talk about the captain today. James already kind of said he's his man of the match. My man of the match by far. I've had friends of
me
different
too.
teams messaging me saying, oh, "You got a player there. He's a bit of a throwback the way he plays football, isn't it? Like you don't see
Mm,
someone oozing like way he was today." And yeah, he was brilliant. And then when it comes to the last 10 minutes, he's just tracking and winning balls back, and
mm.
he's all action. And Brenny, what's your thoughts on Odegaard today? And actually, before we got the nutmeg at the end, oh my
Sure.
god, he had no right getting out of that situation, and yeah, the audacity of the guy. So, yeah, talk to us about Odegaard. We spoke about him a few times this year, and um, for me, I think that was for me his best performance of the season so far. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll
what's
go
your
with
thoughts
that.
on Odegaard?
I'll go with that. And I thought he was brilliant against Wolves, but tonight he was outstanding. I mean,
Mm,
this this guy. I mean, yeah, he. What can I say about him? He's just. It's got to a point now where he's a different player to he was last season, and it's like he wants the ball every time now because
mm,
being a number 10, you always want him to get on the ball, He always wants to get on the ball. He's doing bits with the ball regards to his range of passing. I love the fact that he likes to take on players. He also he's also one of those that he can just bring. He'll just it's like he knows. It's like the forwards know exactly where he's going to play a ball, and it's like there's this telepathy with him. And what I see with him as well in the future is that I think that the more he keeps turning out with these performances. I tell you what, in a few years' time, don't be surprised if he ends up having a Dennis Bergkamp brain, because for me, Dennis Bergkamp was one of the most intelligent footballers I'd ever seen ever.
100%.
You know, and I can see that he's an intelligent player already, but I could just see him becoming a professor when he's 26. You know what I mean? So
You forget
yeah,
how young he is still. Do you know what I mean? I do forget how young he is sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah,
brilliant. Definitely my
yeah,
man.
yeah, definitely. James, one thing before I jump to you, one noticeable difference I saw in Odegaard today. He looked frustrated that he didn't score, and he looked like he was trying to score. There's been so many games where he's got in position and he looks for the final pass, which is nothing wrong with that at all. But today, like, I can't remember who was it a few years ago. Fabregas, I think, had it, and you've seen a few players where they score 4 or 5 for a couple of years, and then the next year all of a sudden they start hitting double figures in 15. And I
Mm,
remember
They
Fabregas
explode.
said, like, Wenger was saying to me, I need to score more goals, and this year I'm focused on that. And it seemed like a switch went off in Odegaard's head today, where he was taking responsibility and he was trying to shoot. And maybe it's Vieira scoring a couple of goals in pre-season, and he scored a worldie this year. Maybe he thought, actually, I can't just be the pass master. I've got to do the other side. But I've
Yeah,
noticed a big difference in where he was shooting from today. Like, there was times he could have passed, but he took the shot on. I've
yeah.
counted about 3 or 4 he had in that second half. So yeah, what was your thoughts on that? And then yeah, Odegaard in general.
Yeah, he was magnificent today. He was really, really, really good. I've been crying for him to do that, for just to. He finds himself. I don't know what it is. He just seems to be in the right position all the time. Wherever we need that pass, that's gonna. I don't know. It's gonna be the pass that leads to the pass that leads to the goal, or it's the final pass that gets the assists, or someone that's just in that pocket that has a good opportunity to score. He always seems to find himself in that position. Can't tell you where that position is on the pitch because it's scenario based, but wherever that scenario is guaranteed Odegaard's going to be in the right place or in and amongst it, where we need someone to just do something. He's a tempo controller and I love it. I don't know. There's been very few players that I can describe in my time that I've seen. I'm a lot longer than you guys.
Right.
No, not throwing shade, but I am a lot younger than you guys. Because everybody was mentioning about 20 years ago when you got that victory, that 1-0, and I'm like, yeah, I don't remember that. I was 3. But no, he just reminds me of like a Fabregas or like a Cazorla. Those are the two that just jump to mind for me that have played for Arsenal. That I'm
mm,
like, look, they just control and dictate the game, and there's very few people that do that. I feel like he's
Yeah.
savvy on the press. We've seen his press numbers and how much he runs. He works so hard on the ball. He's one of the hardest working, if not the hardest working players on the pitch for how
mm,
much he actually gives himself for this club and gives himself for this team. It's
mm,
just about having that final end product. We know he's capable of getting assists, but you've seen the links to players that have like a Paqueta, James Madison, that are going to
mm,
get you 10 goals a season. And I know
mm,
Arteta did an interview with Jamie Carragher on Sky Sports Monday Night Football where he spoke of Xhaka, him needing Xhaka to get more goals. I feel like that's going to translate to Odegaard as well because of how
mm,
Xhaka is being more advanced and being more ruthless. He's taking more shots
mm,
and up in those numbers. It's nice to see that we're transforming into a team that's not just an Aubameyang, or it works if you have a Haaland because Haaland's an alien. He's just, not a one-person team that he's going to get 30 goals a season, so we need to mark him because they're always going to give him the ball and he's going to be the danger man throughout this team now. And we've talked about it. It's documented as well in this past year where we need to diversify our goals. It was Aubameyang and then it was Lacazette mixed in. Now Martinelli's numbers are going up. Saka's numbers are going up. We've introduced Jesus, and yes, I know he's been a bit lackluster in the goals, but he's creating, he's getting assist numbers. Xhaka, massive jump, and now Odegaard the same. They just seem to be ruthless, and I don't think that stems from Arteta. He said to be able to be competing, to be able to be at the top of the table, we're going to need 100 goals, and you only do that by having goal scorers in your whole team, and that is now transferring to Odegaard, and it's just nice to see, because if he can come close to any sort of performance like he had today, where he controls the game, controls the flow, and just dictates how we play and how we're going to pass around the opposition, 30 million. Like, it's de la robbery, isn't it? Like, it's 40 pounds
Absolute
down Real
steal.
Madrid. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah.
It is when you
Fabulous.
look at some of the prices that gets touted around 30 million,
Mm.
absolute steal for this guy. And what is he, 23 now?
24, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right actually. Yeah, 'cause I think we signed. Yeah, whatever he is, he's still a young player. Do you know what I mean? He's still got 10 years, and his style of play. He's not comparing it to Modric. People please don't say I'm saying that, but his style of play is similar, where you're not reliant on pace. Yes, the way he presses is important, but he's intelligent, so he won't ever rely on
Yeah.
pace. So he will be able to play it late into his 30s. He will just adapt to his style. He may end up playing deeper, whatever it is, but yeah, 30 million for this guy is unbelievable. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's yes, it's lovely to watch him play. Sometimes when again, grew up in the Arsenal era when it was all good football. Wenger days is like my memories. I remember a bit of Graham and Bruce Rioch, but it was Wenger days. So when you watch us playing football like that today, it's just beautiful to watch, man. And yeah, you all saw the big guy, Arsene Wenger, up in the stands. I've been saying all season quietly to a few people saying that's the trump card this year. It's when it starts getting sticky later on in the season, we just got to bring Wenger out and watch how that stadium erupts. They didn't do it how I wanted it. I wanted Wenger on that pitch before a game, saluting the fans. But he was in the stadium, and it's nice to see him back there. It's the first time he's been back since he left the club. I think once the fans realised he was in there, you heard the chants kind of ring round. And yeah, like for the young players like Saka, Smith Rowe, I wonder how important it is for them to see him, because they would have grown up in the Arsenal academy based on Wenger style football. And I wonder how proud he is as well, looking at that team and looking at their young boys and even playing the way we're playing. Like imagine Fergie going to watch United compared to Wenger watching this. It's completely different scenario. Like
Yeah.
when it cuts to Fergie, he's normally chewing gum, red face, not very happy with what he's seeing. Because Wenger must have really enjoyed watching that. So, Brennan, you was around for. Do you know what I mean? You've seen a lot of it. What do you reckon Wenger's take is on this team at the moment? Hopefully he has an interview. But what do you think his take is?
I think he likes what he sees. Um, it's he's also probably thinking it could be it's kind of like the young sides that he had from years ago. But then saying that his sides weren't that young because Arsene Wenger when he first arrived he had the experience back five.
Yeah, he had that
Yeah, he had,
foundation.
he had the legendary back five, but then
Mm.
he added experienced players and then and a few younger players and even some from the academy that he added, including Stephen Hughes and who I was a big fan of.
Yeah, I liked him.
So you know what I mean. And those and he it was a mix of it was experience pace, power. You had younger players as well that he used to give chances to. Some made it at other clubs.
Mm.
Like Luis Bonmorte, for example. He would have been, but I think for Arsene, if you think about it, he would have looked at it and thought, well, you know what? I've already got my experience in the middle of the park because you
Yeah.
look at Granit Xhaka and you look at Thomas Partey, how old the two of them are. So
Mm.
you know, and he would have, he probably would now with the side that we've got, he'd probably. I mean, I'm sure Mikel Arteta will do this, but he's probably, because Mikel probably want to just bring in experience. Arsene Wenger would have then brought in experienced players, and it's like when there was a time where he sold, even though Paul Merson was coming up to 30, he got rid of Merson, and then he brought in someone a few years younger, Mark Overmars,
Mm,
who was just a revelation at the club.
mm,
So,
mm.
but he liked I think he liked what he saw tonight,
Yeah,
and I hope he does. I hope he does visit the Emirates more often, because it gives the crowd a lift. It gives everyone a lift.
yeah, 100%, 100%. He is an icon. He's a legend. His statue does need to be made. Do you know what I mean, for
Yeah,
what he's done
well,
for the
it
club?
hasn't.
And as I said, when
Mm,
you look at the imprint of what he's left behind, Saka, Smith Rowe, all those guys are testament. Eddie Nketiah, I know he came
mm,
from Chelsea, but he still came in with the philosophy because most guys wouldn't take a gamble on Nketiah because of his physicality. That's why
mm,
Chelsea didn't keep him. It's nothing to do with his finishing; it was just his size. Um, so yeah, Wenger transformed the game, and we're now seeing England the kind of Wenger's children, as we can call them. Even if you watch City, and I know Pep's got his style and how he does things, and
mm,
but I watched. This is probably the most exciting England national team I've seen. And I think
mm,
this comes off the foundation of Arsene Wenger because of the way he saw football. Arsenal done it first, and all the other teams started to implement a similar
mm.
style. Yes, they do it differently, but first things first, everyone's got to be a technician. Do you know what I mean? If you look at
Yeah.
academy football, everything's about being a technician
Mm,
first, and that's definitely a European style which Wenger brought over. Um, and you're seeing it, and this is why the England team I think is vibrant at the moment, and it's showing there's
mm.
some excitement because the players are just there's talent all over the place.
I mean, I saw, just to say, guys, I saw some really good football under George Graham. I mean, I only went and saw a few live games under Graham.
Mm,
I've watched more under Arsene Wenger live, but there was some good football back in those days.
mm,
But Arsene Wenger took it to levels.
mm, mm.
He took it to new levels in terms of the football that we play. You know what I mean? Because under George Graham, when some of the football that we played for a few years, I was like, this is brilliant, this is great.
Yeah.
But Arsene just took it levels. You
Mm,
know,
mm, mm.
he's for me, Arsene Wenger's just given me the best football I've ever seen at the
100%.
club. You know, he's
100%.
outstanding.
100%. But yeah, so yeah, fair play. And again, hopefully we see Mr. Wenger a lot more at the stadium. I think it will definitely do something for the club. Um, definitely would. So yeah, hopefully we get to see him a bit more. But let's
Mm.
move on to some player ratings before we wrap up. We'll start with James's doppelganger, uh, Aaron Ramsdale. I'll go first today, just being selfish. Ramsdale, I think pretty quiet game. Done everything
Mm.
he was meant to do. Kickings, we didn't really have to kick as much. Playing very, everything was quite short today.
Mm.
Um, quick started off a counter attack, and I think it pulled off a save in the last minute by Fornals, which looked comfortable, but still had to make it. So I'll give him a 7 because I just don't think. Yeah, I think he's just
No.
comfortable. Um, couldn't do much about the goal, obviously
Mm.
from the penalty spot. So yeah, 7 for him. Move on to the right back, Brenny. He's yours.
Ben
Ben White.
White, he was our best defender today.
Mm,
He gets an 8 from me.
mm,
I thought he was just defensively, he was outstanding. I thought going forward as well in the overlap, I thought he did well. The only the only thing he had, well, the game was already won, but he did get a little bit places where
cocky.
he was on the right and he lost you saw that, innit? He lost the ball to Antonio, but then
Mm,
a few seconds later we did win the ball back,
like,
and I
yeah.
thought, you know what, I said it's all right, I'll give you that because the game is done.
Do you know
But he was
is
brilliant.
that you know that fine margin sometimes where there's a simple thing to do and then there's not the arrogance, but it's like that take that risk. And the third goal comes from him doing it because he could have easily played a pass. He's won the ball
Yeah,
back. The ball's kind of bouncing, and he threw a dummy and cut him inside. And just that alone opened up the game for him to give it to Odegaard, where he could have just done maybe the simple. I don't know who was on the outside of him, but maybe say it's Saka because it's on that side.
yeah,
And it's just the moment sometimes where
mm,
football's that fine margin, isn't it? It's that half a yard of space which makes all the difference. And
yeah.
yeah, I think I agree with you. I don't. He was definitely our best out of defense today. What did you give him? 8.
Mm, yes.
Yeah, 8. James, we move on to next inside of Ben White. We have Saliba. What would you score him
Um,
today?
I give him. It's difficult because he gave away the pen, and I feel like that should impact his rating. But apart from the pen, I felt like he was all right today. You could tell he was a bit rusty, that he's been away from football for a while, and yes, he's been training. But even in the preview we did, we all thought he was going to be a bit rusty, lacked match fitness, and you could see it in the first half at least that he wasn't as sharp. He's not there, sweeping up everything, composed on the ball, gets away with it. So I'll give him a 6.5. I wanted to give him a 7, but I feel like because he gave away the pen, I'm being harsh. We'll go 6.5.
Nah, I think you're fair.
No, not at all.
I think that's probably one of the hardest games he's had. I think the way West Ham set up, they overloaded our left-hand side, which means he has to keep coming across. And Antonio is a handful, so I think he's Antonio has his weaknesses, which is probably his finishing. He's never going to score you like 20 goals a season, but what he gives you and gives others, he's a nightmare to deal with. And I don't think you can see it. Saliba and Gabriel didn't really want to go toe to toe with him, and I haven't seen that from Saliba. It'd be interesting to hear when he talks years later and say who's his hardest opponent in his first season in England. It might be what we saw today because you can see he didn't want to get into it physically. And I've never seen that from Saliba. Normally he's just doesn't matter who it is. I'll go shoulder to shoulder, toe to toe with you. It's not a problem. So I think that's a fair rating. Gabriel, I'll be very quick. I'll give him a 7. I think, yeah, there's still elements of his game where he can rush out of position, but yeah, I think he done all right today. So I'll give him a 7. Brenny, you've got Tierney. I had to keep Tierney away from James because didn't want no 6s.
Boy, well, you know what? For me, Tierney would get he'd get a 7 today. I know we never lost the game, and I know he didn't play the whole full 90 minutes, but he'd get 7 today because it's because of what he did going forward and how he was working with Martinelli when they were going forward. That's what I was impressed with Tierney about. So I'll just give him a 7.
Moving to centre midfield, James, you got Partey.
I'll give him an 8 today. I felt like he was really, really good. You could see the demand on him when we had Tierney. Again, I'm not trying to belittle Tierney because it's not Tierney's fault. It's the system we were using him in that's the problem. He's not the right profile for how we were playing today. Because he was the sole ball progressor, really. I know Odegaard was getting it and dribbling, but as you're talking like someone that's passing the ball physically up the pitch for 70% of the game, the demand was on him. And I felt like he did really, really well today. Just because we didn't have Zinchenko to do it alongside him. So, he had a lot on his shoulders. So, yeah, I'll give him an 8.
Yeah, I've got Xhaka. I'll give him a 7.5. I don't think he was as good as Partey today. He done some really good things in the first half. He gave 2 really clever balls. I think one was to Ben White. He cut the whole kind of midfield and defense, and then he gave one to Nketiah, which were quite real nice progressive passes. But I think second half didn't really see. And his roles, as I said, he's one where you almost need him to take the game by the scruff in the final third with Odegaard, because he's given that bit more license. So yeah, I think he played well, but just final third, yeah, maybe it's a little bit more from him. Well, not even say more from him. I think it was just a good performance. Sorry, I should say. I can't say anything negative. So yeah, 7.5 from me for Xhaka. Brenny, you can get Odegaard.
Yeah, he gets a 9 for me. The only thing that was missing was goals, but other than that, I was so happy with his performance today. Yeah. And I agree with you. It was his best performance this season in an Arsenal shirt.
To come away with 2 assists as well. So
yeah, can't fault him today. Cannot fault him.
James, we give you Bukayo Saka.
I'll give him an 8. I felt at times he was a bit quiet. We didn't get him on the ball as much as I would like him to, but when he had the ball, he was causing a lot of danger, and they had to double up on him, so it gave us a little bit more space to operate. And of course, he got the first goal that broke the deadlock, which was the most important goal for me. So yeah, solid performance. I'll give him an 8.
Yep. Other side is Martinelli. Quiet game. I'll be honest, wasn't really impressed with his game at all. However, he did score, so I'll boost him from a 6 to a 6.5 because he did get that goal. But end product wasn't great today at all. And again, what we like about Martinelli when he is driving at players, and I think the system didn't suit him today, because he wasn't able to get their ball in that left channel and go at the right back. So yeah, I'll give him a 6.5 because he did score, and it's an important goal to put us 2-1 up. So 6.5. Brenny, you've got Eddie.
Yeah, people will probably in the chat as well. Some will probably disagree with this. What I'm going to give Eddie, even on the WhatsApp chat. But for me, he gets an 8 today, not just for the goal, but for the work rate. He worked hard today. He worked his socks off. And whenever you can, you can only be pleased. You can only, be happy when you see someone that works their socks off. And he did that.
100%.
Deserves
100%. Substitutes. We give Zinchenko a score. The others I don't think was on for long enough. James, what would you give Zinchenko?
I'll give him a 6. Simply just because of the time period he was on. When he was on the pitch, I thought he was sublime. Thought he offered exactly what I felt like we should have done at halftime. But again, I was proved wrong, and I don't know what I'm talking about because we got the win. But yeah, he just offered that more stability, and we just looked so much more comfortable. So yeah, I give him a 6.
Let's move on to Arteta. I'm gonna give him a 9 today, and simply because obviously we won the game. It was an important first game back. We've just drawn two. No, we lost against Juventus and then drew with Luton in pre-season friendly. So there was a lot of questions being asked. But he's got this team set up in a way where even if we lose, we're dominating the ball, we're playing good football, which I can take losing sometimes if we're playing well. But the reason why I will give him credit is I watched a lot of football today. I watched the Tottenham game. As a footballing team, they're horrible. They just got a bit of firepower at the top end, and they grab one at the momentum. Yeah, so when I watch what he's got Arsenal doing compared to what Conte's got Tottenham doing, it's night and day. Then I watched the Liverpool game, and as much as Liverpool deserved to win and they missed some good chances, they were so open, and Aston Villa definitely could have scored more goals. Aston Villa should have scored 3 or 4 in that game, and again, that comes down to the management of the game. As much as Liverpool were the better team, Liverpool had the better chances. Liverpool could have won out and won 7-4, but actually, apart from the penalty, and Antonio had one chance, West Ham didn't really threaten us, and we're controlling games really well. We're winning the ball back so fast. It's nice to see. So the only criticism I've got is we don't go and kill games. We don't go and kill teams. Like I'm watching that game and I'm saying if we put our foot down, we can get 4 and 5 in this game. But again, it goes the other side. We concede one and it goes 3-2. Now we're squeaky bum time, isn't it? So can't grumble too much, but that'd be my only little thing is can we score more goals sometimes? Brenny, what would you give Arteta?
You know what? I'm with you on that. I'd give him a 9 today. It's if this game, say the World Cup was in the summer and we played this game the week after, away to Wolves, I would have given an 8. But for my reason, I echo what you said. But for me, giving him 9 today, because it was all about. Yeah, we know we had friendlies, but it's all about how are you going to respond to this particular fixture, having not played a competitive game in weeks, and there were those on Twitter that I read that Arsenal will falter now. It's been so long since we're at the top, and West Ham will do a job on you. And I was reading all of that, and we're going to struggle because we haven't got Jesus. So because of that, I said 9. We definitely get to 9 today. We've responded well today, having not played competitively for weeks. So fair play. Fair play to the boss.
Yourself, James, what are you giving Arteta today?
I'll give him an 8.5. Maybe that's me being harsh. But I just feel like he's improved a lot of what he's doing, and I can't complain because we won 3-1 and we scored 3 goals, and inevitably we dominated the game. I just felt like the changes that he made should have been done sooner, but then again, it didn't really matter because we won the game. So, I'm just being harsh. I'll give him a
9. Fair play. So 9s all round for Arteta today. Arsenal return to winning ways. It's not return to winning ways. We return from the break with a win. We keep marching. How far can this team go? Who knows? The fixtures are coming thick and fast. We've got some big games. Brighton's next. And then we have Newcastle. That's not going to be easy. January's going to be a difficult run. But before we go, quick word on Mudryk. I'm not sure if you saw on Instagram, he's watching the goal.
Yeah.
He's recorded the Nketiah goal. And then the reports have come out that we've put in a 40 million euro bid up front with 20 million add-ons. Do you think we're getting this one over the line, James?
Yeah, it'll be done. I think within like 10 days.
Yeah.
That's how long I think it'll be done. But yeah, cracking player. I mean, he's been twerking for us for a month, so I hope we can get it done because I've not seen someone want to join this club that much in such a long time. At least not publicly.
Yeah.
But yeah, good player. I'd be happy if we signed him.
Yeah, you ready? Think it's getting done? And obviously Romano's the one that's reported it, so there's got to be quite a bit of truth behind it. It's not just coming from people's Twitters.
Yeah, I think it's getting done, and I think it'll get done. Hopefully get done before. I don't think it'll get done.
Can't be done by Brighton. It'll be Newcastle. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it'll probably get it'll probably get done before the FA Cup game versus Oxford. So, but I just think it'll get done early because it's like we've had a summer where we never went to the last day to get the players we needed, and I think we've learned from that. So I think if we are gonna get a couple more or even 3 players in, I think it would be done early January. No 31st of January, 1st of Feb. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I think it's coming.
And the thing is, if you look at the fixtures, we got 3rd of Jan, we got Newcastle, 9th of Jan, Oxford, which isn't problems me, but 15th of Jan, you got Tottenham, 22nd of Jan, you got Man United. So what James was saying earlier, the bench didn't look good. So actually, Arteta could do with him in those games. Do you know what I mean? So for me, you've got to get it done. Ideally, really, you want him in before the Newcastle game, but that might be a bit too much chance. But definitely before the Tottenham game, he needs to be in and had some time with the players, just to be an impact sub in that kind of game. Do you know what I mean? That game can be won from the bench. So done. And also, I think there's strong links with Gakpo going to Liverpool, which has kind of come out of the blue.
It's done.
Was it actually done?
Yeah, it's going to
That's how you got to move. I mean,
PSV have announced it, by the way, like official initial, like their profile of the club have announced it, saying he's flying to England immediately.
Really?
Wow.
And that's to me, that's how you got to move. That's why I can't take if Arsenal take 2 weeks getting this thing done. Just you know what I mean?
Liverpool, jeez.
And I know United fans are going to be heartbroken because I saw United agenda guys. You saw a lot of Gakpo in your streams, and it's a done deal. It's certain he wants to come and play for Ten Hag and the rest of it. And Liverpool just come and hijacked you. So back to the drawing board for them. It looks like.
Well, that would be something for them because Darwin Núñez is just an absolute nightmare.
I think
he also rejected United as well, didn't he? They've lost 2 now. They've lost Darwin Núñez and Gakpo to Liverpool. Hold that, United fans.
Yeah, for real. But it's going to be interesting. Heating up. I wouldn't have minded Gakpo just because of the profile. He could play out wide and up through the middle, so he would be an ideal person with what we talk about with Nketiah leading the line. You can have him being the backup, but I think our interest cooled from him in the summer, didn't it? And again, I feel Arteta maybe still saying him we didn't like because it didn't make sense why we just cooled the way we did. But I do know Arteta, he is about profile, isn't he? So if he's not going to take you on you're all right. He wants the right fit. So
you need to. I don't know if it's going to be any impact on anybody, but just letting you know, both Stan and Josh Kroenke were at the game today.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, he not and Wenger and Sir Wenger.
But I mean, there's a £60 million bid going in, and the owner of the football club, for once in 5 years, has actually decided to turn up at the game. So
it's not bad. It's not bad just to see what happens. But right on that note, guys, we're going to wrap up for today. Still sitting pretty top of the league. Pressure back on Man City. That's all you could do is keep winning. Happy with the result. I know all you boys are feeling the same. Arsenal keep marching, and I'm sure we'll see you again later on in the week. But guys, from me, have a good night and enjoy the rest of your Boxing Day.
Thank you.